Hello and welcome to Elsa's second day school video. She did a little bit better this time. She seemed less nervous. She almost ate treats. She would take them from me but set them on the ground. So I feel like we're getting a little bit closer to her accepting treats, if that's something that she'd like to do. Of course, if not, that's all right. Training is just a little bit easier when they want the food that you are offering them. I like to include cute clips when I can. She was being so cute. So I can tell that you have been working on place at home, because anytime I walked near the bed, she was absolutely happy to get on it herself. So when we start training place, we want the dog to make the choice to be on that bed, and then we want to make it awesome for them to be on that bed, whether it's giving them treats or a chewy toy or pets and praise in her case. We just want to convince them that the bed is the best place to be. And right now it's her choice to get on the bed because I'm not using a command. So whenever she gets on the bed, I say the marker word yes, and then I give her the reward. So that's what I like to use for dogs, to mark the moment that they do something correct. So as soon as all 4 feet are touching the bed, on top of the bed, then I say the word yes, and then I give her the reward. If I like that she's doing something and I want her to continue doing that thing, then I will say good. And I typically don't say it as exciting as I do the word yes, but that's up to you. So good is a duration marker word, so it means keep doing that thing. I like it. But yes means that your reward is coming. Good just means keep doing that thing that's good, and eventually there will be a yes and a reward. Here we're just practicing more leash pressure, and when she gives in to that leash pressure and comes back, then I give her her reward. And notice how there is no leash pressure here. And then I add just a little bit and I walk backwards to entice her to come with me, and she does. The beginning of place work is pretty repetitive. It's just the same thing over and over again. This was great. She stayed on the place bed while our other trainer left the building and walked past her. So I let her stay there. I don't want to add any arousal because her tail's already wagging and she's already pretty tense. So if I added, petting while the trainer was walking out of the building, she might have gotten excited and broke off of the place bed. So I waited until the person left the building and then rewarded her for the good duration on the place bed. So there I did not say okay, but she got off of the bed, and that's okay. We're still really early on in training, but I just gently guided her back with leash pressure towards the bed, and she hopped right back up, and then I could reward her again. There's a little leash pressure with her being distracted. I think there might have been somebody outside of the door. And then she gave in, and she comes back, and I give her pets and praise. This is very repetitive too. Just kind of walking around until she turns on that leash pressure, and then teaching her that if the leash pressure turns on, you need to come back. And I like to add a little bit of backwards movement if I can to get her excited about it, about coming back to me. And right there, I used a little bit of leash pressure and her sit command to get her to sit. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I wanted to introduce that to her as well, to help teach her that leash pressure has meaning. It's not just random. Here I try to give her a treat. Not super interested, but hey, I offered it. I like to put the treats directly on the place bed instead of handing them to her mouth, because I want the positive association to be directly with the place bed. So if she takes treats at home, that's what I would do. You'll see an example a little bit later. I brought one of my own dogs out to show you how I would start place training if the dog were to take treats. Just in case she does at home and that's something that you want to utilize, it can be a lot easier with the treats. But obviously it's still doable without them because she's doing a good job. There I added backwards movement to get her to walk with me. So I personally don't mind if the dog is relaxed or standing up or watching the environment or whatever on the place bed, as long as all 4 feet are on the place bed. That's the command that I'm asking for. So even though she's standing like on the edge of it and watching things happen, that's totally okay for me. The only things I don't allow are like barking or chewing on the place bed or things like that, but she hasn't done any of that. So here's another leash pressure sit. You'll see I very subtly add leash pressure upwards, and then I say sit, and then she sits because she has a really good sit command, and then I release the leash pressure as soon as her butt hits the ground. I sped this part up because this was a really good duration stay for her. I think she's listening to dogs barking or the wind outside the windows or people getting in and out of their cars. And there I just gently corrected her back onto the place bed after she got off. I'm not sure if it's in this video or a little bit later, but I start actually saying the word place. So now that she's kind of understanding what we're looking for, we can start naming it. So as she steps all 4 feet onto that bed, as she's doing it, we say the word place. And then if you'd like to, while you're rewarding her with the pets and the praise or the treats, you can say good place. So this is my dog. And how I would introduce place command to a dog using treats is I place the treats directly on the bed. And he knows what the word free means, so he knows that he can stop doing a command when I say that word. So that's kind of like her okay, or if you'd like me to use free or break, I can do that. So I'm letting Radar have a little bit of duration on the bed, and I'm walking around just a little bit, and you saw right there he got really excited and jumped up, but he did not get off of the bed, so I rewarded him really quick for that good decision before he could make a bad decision. It is also very important now that if we are saying the word place, that is a command, and so if the dog gets off of the bed, we need to guide them back on until they have heard their release word. So like with him, I'm okay if he wants to be excited on the bed or sit on the bed or lay down. As long as he's on top of that bed, he will continue to get food, and that's how we build duration. And the place command really is a duration stay, basically. I also do like to treat the dog when they give me eye contact sometimes. That just builds engagement with you as a handler. So I'll start walking around the edge of the bed, but making sure to keep my body in a position where it looks like I'm kind of blocking their exit, versus when I walk away from it, you see how I turn with the dog and say their release word. You can also, as soon as the dog gets on the bed, scatter treats all over it. So then you're building duration and a really good positive association. I mentioned as well in our texts that we worked on door manners. So she tends to really bolt out of doors. Every single door, she gets very, very excited and just wants to power through, push her way through. So I thought that we would work on her arousal level with the door and expectations. So the way that I like to train door manners is to not really say anything. I sometimes say good or yes when she makes a good choice, just to let her know that that was a good choice. And sometimes I'll say no if she goes towards the door, but honestly, you don't even have to say anything when you do this. I'm just marking the moments where she does something good versus when she does something bad, because she doesn't understand right now. So the idea here is that if the dog goes towards the door, then the door shuts. Repeat, 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 repeat until it makes sense to the dog. The other way that I like to do door manners is to use body pressure. So I'm just gently stepping in front of her because she likes to really stick her nose right in the opening of the door and try to push that door open. So I just step in front of her gently, and she takes a step back, and then I step back, and then we try again. This is that leash pressure sit. Just teaching her that leash pressure has meaning. This takes repetition as well. Lots of repetition while she builds the association that when I make the leash have pressure upwards, that means to sit, by holding it upwards, saying the word sit, releasing it as soon as her butt hits the ground. It's just a gentle amount of pressure, nothing that she's not used to herself because she pulls very hard, but just enough that she can feel it and then release it as soon as her butt hits the ground, and reward her for that too. So this is actually when we were done with training, so she is even more excited than the last 2 clips of door manners. So I kind of combine the door opening and closing with the body pressure here because she struggles quite a bit for a moment. So again, the idea is if the dog goes towards the door shuts. I am not putting any pressure on the leash. I'm not using the leash to teach this. It's just for safety reasons in case she does pummel through the door. So I like to teach it this way because then the association is directly with the door versus with the leash or by asking her to sit or do some alternate behavior. I want her to think that any door that is open, if she goes towards it without being released through it, that it will close. Because, worst case scenario, we forget to close a door somewhere, or we have a door open or somebody's going through a door. We don't want that to look like an open invitation. So she struggled there, so I used some body pressure to get her a little bit away from that door so that she could succeed a little bit quicker. And I used the word okay to let her know that she can come through the door with me. And eventually I'll have the door open all the way, but for now, she's trying really hard, so I let her go through and I say okay when it's about maybe 2/3 of the way open, or 1/3 of the way open, I'm sorry. And this is also just repetition at every doorway that we go through. You can tell that she's very excited about the idea of going through the door. So I want her to kind of calm down because also with loose leash walking, if we start our walk before we've even started the walk, if we are inside and overexcited, then our whole walk is going to be overexcited and it's not going to go well. And then there we go. We get to leave. Thank you very much for letting me work with her.